Well, hello and very good evening on the 7th of October 23. As you can probably see, I'm at my home address and I have the evening fire is it's in a fairly cheerful mood, that fire actually. It's burning up some of my collected wood, but I've also got to put some coal on as well every so often because we want to try and retain the heat, not just burn the stuff up the chimney. I've had another run-in with the Met Office, and I'm not sad about it. I'm absolutely fed up with them. I'm fed up with their lies, and well, let's just not call it lies. It seems rather negative kind of tone, that, Andy. Why don't we just call them fibs? Yeah, it's a fibs. They're obsessed with this maximum temperature stuff. And I know from looking at some comments on various parts of social media today that the places down in Lincolnshire and Cambridgeshire and stuff like that never got the 24 and 25 degrees Celsius or the 26 degrees Celsius that were promised yesterday or for the last few days for the weekend. In fact, some of them only got to 19 degrees Celsius, which doesn't surprise me because the Met Office will habitually take a temperature and push it 3 or 4 degrees above the maximum. They've been doing it for quite a long time. It's all part of them selling this global warming, climate change nonsense to us all. And and then we have this nonsense in Scotland where we have a very wet weekend, which is quite normal in autumn. To get a couple of days, well, it's not even a couple of days. We've only been raining for 24 hours, if that. In fact, I think it was about 6 o'clock yesterday evening the rain came on, maybe even slightly later when I think about it. And so it's we've had about 15 hours of rain. We might have another 10 hours of rain, but it's not really raining, it's just drizzle. What makes it worse is the wind that the Met Office failed to tell us about properly. I advised the Met Office a few days ago that they shouldn't be really concentrating too much on any high temperatures that are coming up from Europe because of an anticyclone that's sitting comfortably in the whole of Europe at the moment. And that's why we're dragging in these southerly winds. Before I go into any more detail about this, and I want to explain that I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not even an amateur weather forecaster. But I'm not a fool either. There's a comment that you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. And simply it's become everyone else is getting fed up with it all as well. It's a shame. I noticed about 3 years ago, I was studied a lot of their information that they were putting out. I hadn't noticed before. Well, one thing is because I only ever caught glimpses of the weather forecasts at the end of the BBC News or something like that, which was provided by the Met Office, I believe, at that time. And now I think they've got BBC weather presenters as well as this presenter and that presenter, and presented all the damn shop. But since I've not had a television since 2015, as I hark on about fairly often, what I'm trying to say here is that I've not really seen much Met Office forecast until lockdown, and I started to look at it online and on the internet, and I started to think, well, this is not really correct. My suspicions were always raised, and I used to question it, and I used to think and look at the charts and stuff like that. I think, where on earth are they getting this information from? Because it doesn't tally up. And then I noticed there was no correlation between what they're telling you in one part of a broadcast and what they're saying elsewhere on their sites, and that included the all-important mountain forecast for myself. So I started to keep a check on these people, and I sort of returned to it just a few weeks ago in much more depth, and I'm wholly persuaded that they're telling fibs constantly, and it's not all in an effort to for that, you know, as a government agency, to bring awareness into this climate change stuff. But what they fail to tell you is that we'll need to catch up, because even the bloody Prime Minister's, you know, decided that enough's enough, and let's sack this net zero nonsense. It's been a absolute travesty what's happened in regards to this position that they seem to think that man will be able to control the weather. They can't. They can't. They just can't. It's totally absurd. I mean, they might be able to tame a little bit weather here and there. I think it was at the Beijing Olympics, the Chinese managed to avert the rain from spoiling the opening ceremony or something like that. That's about as far as it can go. Well, they can create clouds and make it rain, but you know, and clear away the threat of snow. I've mentioned this on my channel before. That type of stuff is quite easy to do. But changing climate, that's a completely different thing altogether. And how anyone can buy into this nonsense, I mean, it defeats me. I mean, where are these people coming from? Where's the common sense and logic? Where the hell is it all? It's because they've got no thinking processes to themselves. They've got no real culture as it comes to looking at the countryside and looking at things. And nothing's changed. Nothing at all has changed in the countryside in at least 50 or 60 years that I know about. Nothing at all. The only thing we don't have with such severity is the heavy winter snowstorms. But that fluctuates anyway. There's always been a fluctuation in winter storms. I mean, my interests, you know, as I say, I'm not any. I would never claim to be a scientist or a meteorologist. And I mean, what I do rely on is if there's any, you know, what do you call it, accolade for these people that work at the Met Office. Well, someone's got to sit down and create these graphs and stuff, or not graphs, but these charts and stuff, and so they can actually have a look. But of course, most of them don't, on the broadcast, they just stick a bloody temperature somewhere and say, or a colour scheme of being red or orange or something like that, and a little bit blue if it's a bit colder. And it's just not good. I took up an interest in weather from a very, very early childhood. I'm quite sure that the very fact that I was born in it was one of the worst winters in living memory ever. I think it only superseded by 1947 in the 20th century. I think that was the only winter that was ever colder. But I mean, I got a photograph. Well, obviously I can't remember the day that well, but Mum had taken me to my christening. I put the photograph up. This is me at my christening. My mum didn't look very well that day. I think she was feeling a bit under the weather herself. She never looked like that. I can remember. So I think she had some sort of postnatal thing, or she was maybe thinking, God almighty, I've got to take this child up to the church and meet all the relatives, and they're all going to be poking their hands into little Andrew's cheeks and nose. But anyway, this was January 1964, and I was off to get christened. But the winter snow was there, and apparently, and But I've always had a fascination for snow. I've had a fascination with snow right through my whole life. I love it until it becomes that tedious sort of stuff, but it's slush and ice and slippy ice and all this stuff. But anyway, what I'm trying to say this evening is that from my interest, I mean, when I was in geography class, I remember my high school tutor, the first geography teacher I got was, for 2 years solid, was a chap called Mr. Hunter. I don't know what was wrong with him. He seemed to have some sort of anger issues about everything that was not connected to geography. Well, even with geography, he was rather fraught about things, but he was a very intelligent man, I can say that much, and he was, in some respect, although he was very impatient with some people, I found him quite an interesting individual, and I really took to the man. I thought he was highly interesting and the sort of person that you could learn a lot from, and I definitely did. And he was also aware that I was very keen on meteorology and used to spend a lot of time just talking about it and telling me this, that, and ever. So much so that he put me in charge of the weather collection station called the Stevenson screen. I had to check the thermometers and take daily reads on the rainwater, and the rain gauge, I think you call it, the rain gauge, and the thermometer and stuff like that. So that was all very good and exciting, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. And of course, with my map work in my mountains, it was Mr. Hunter that spent a little bit of time talking about what we had to do anyway as part of our course, but started to understand the lay of the country, and then contour maps, contour lines and maps, and started to read maps and became quite quite prolific in some sense for my tender years, to be able to sit down and read a whole bloody map without looking at the countryside and know how the land would look and how it was undulating and rising steeply and where the gorges were and the valleys and all the rest of it. And there was no computerized models at that time. But I'm drifting away from the story a wee bit because, I only had 3 geography teachers my whole time, and that was Mr. Hunter, a very dear lady called Miss Davy, who was an outdoor enthusiast, and she was very keen in the hills, so I learned a lot from her, about mountains and stuff, and then also there was a chap called Mr. Donald, who was also very keen in weather and international geography, if you understand. And from a very young age, I don't know if I've mentioned before. Sometimes I think I've mentioned something, but I've not. I've probably been talking to myself in my sleep or something. But the very, very first city I ever named was the city of Winnipeg. I don't know why that came about, but I've never been to Winnipeg. It's in Canada, of course, but I've never been there. But there's a lot of chat about Winnipeg and Montreal, Quebec, and I didn't hear much about the United States. Not really, I knew things about where cities were in the States and stuff like that, and the individual states, but I don't know what it was. But it seemed to be always it was Anchorage for Alaska, Fairbanks and Winnipeg and Montreal and Helsinki was always. I'm talking about 6 or 7 years old. And the hell's got to learn about Helsinki for? And Reykjavik and Istanbul. That's true. Istanbul was once called Constantinople. So I was really fun. And Peking from the capital of China. And why are we drifting into this? We're talking about weather, Andy. Yeah, let me show you this Met Office chart. This is what I've been talking about. This is why I've fallen foul of them. Okay, so this is the chart. Hopefully you can see it all right in this screen. But this is the meteorological chart for the lunchtime on the 7th of October 23. And under this bloody occluded front here, this wiggling occluded front is the borders of England and Scotland. But it's north of this wiggle that most of the heavy rain is falling currently. Well, amber warning, although I don't know why I've got to have an amber warning, it's not that damn heavy. But they don't need warnings anyway. You just look out and say, oh, it's pissing the rain, I'm not going outside. Or if I'm going to go anywhere, I'll take a brolly. I'll put on my Wellington boots or something. I mean, it's just stupid. And but anyway, what we've got here is an anticyclone to the north and an anticyclone to the south. Can you see this? And the anticyclone is always clockwise in the direction of the flow. So when the moisture, the warm air is coming up from the Bay of Biscay and stuff, you see, and it's travelling all the way up here, and it's hitting this air on this anticyclone, which is also sitting over Iceland at the moment, and it's bringing in colder air, so that both masses are meeting at the middle and creating this rain, which has been fed by this low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. Now they seem to forget that all these storms that come across, I mean, what happens in the summertime is all these storms are created in equatorial Africa. They then flow across the Atlantic to the Caribbean, and they create sometimes into hurricanes because they're so strong. You know, different forces of hurricanes. And then they travel up, you know, by Florida and up by the Carolinas, and sometimes they make landfall in, you know, New York or up towards, you know, Boston, Massachusetts, or up to Newfoundland or something. But generally, they follow the track of the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream comes across here, and this is the main track. This is prevailing winds are from the southwest, but this is where our weather comes from the southwest or the west. You see. So these storms are not unusual, but according to the bloody Met Office of late, these are highly unusual events, and they keep fucking naming them. I think the latest one was probably Agatha. No, it was Agnes. I mean, Agnes is not a weather system. Agnes is somebody you meet for a cup of tea in Woolworths in 1971 or something. You know? But what the Met Office, and the reason I've fallen out with them, is they've given these temperatures of 25, 26 degrees Celsius down the south of England today, and further north into Lincolnshire and Cambridge. But, and it's a big but, they failed to mention that in the north here, there's going to be colder weather. They completely failed, they didn't even see it happening. Well, I've been seeing it happen for days, and I've been telling them for days that the winds are going to come right down from the north. Now what happens here? Are you still with me? Wake up. All these maps that they use have the UK sitting at the wrong bloody angle. In fact, the whole lot sitting at the wrong angle. The UK, the British Isles, should be sitting at a different you know, angle for longitudinal and latitudinal directions. So this should be stretched right out here, meaning that this part of the Western Isles should be sitting away up here. And Ireland should be away over here. You understand me? They've got it sitting the wrong way, and then when they present the bloody maps for what I call the numpty, you know, audience, they just stare at a map which is sitting like that, vertical. It's, you know, John O'Groats at the top and bloody Land's End at the bottom. Well, that's not the way the British Isles sit. It stretches all the way out. Do you know what I mean? I mean, bloody London is... London should be way over here. The whole thing should be stretched right out. And what I'm trying to say is that, you know, Scotland should be much further north. Well, what I'm trying to say is the reason they never caught the cold weather coming down. They've made a kind of excuse, and they said they came on with the bloody latest weather forecast and said that there was a bit of a temperature variation between the north and south today. It hit 25 or 26 degrees down in the, you know, the south coast, but it only got to 6 degrees in Braemar. Well, of course it did, because the bloody cold weather's coming down onto this, and with 6 degrees, that means there's going to be snow at elevation. A lot of snow. And if I go to the specialist forecast for mountain, and I just maybe chip here for the 8th of October, let's just see, maybe for the 9th, no, let's go for the Cairngorm somewhere. We don't have any. I'll go for the... Got these bloody amber and yellow warnings still stuck up there for the piss and the rain. But what I'm interested in is the temperatures. Yes, here we go. Temperature 1 degrees, 1 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees. Well, any fool can tell you that when the temperature is that low, it's generally snow. Feels like temperature -5 and -6. Well, that's because of the wind. But that's just one bloody mountain I've chosen. I don't know, what was the name of it? I don't even know. Carn or Taggart Moor, something like that. I don't know what the hell that is any. Let's go back a bit. Let's find a decent mountain to talk about. And this is another thing they've done wrong. They used to, I mean, you can't find the names of the damn places now. Where are we any? God give us strength. I mean, the time you got all this, you could be up the bloody mountain. Anyway, that's new. Yeah, I mean, this is hopeless, Eddie. Come on, where's the Cairngorms? Let's get over here, Eddie. That's Huntley. What the fucking hell? Oh. Ballater. I don't want Balmoral. I want the Cairngorms. Ah, fuck. Let's go to North Grampian. See what I mean? A total waste of space, this lot. Anyway, while I'm looking for this nonsense, could we please have the Cairngorms? Where are we here? Aviemore. Okay. Cairngorm base station. We don't want the base station, we want the bloody top. Cairngorm summit. Okay. So here we go. Temperature on Cairngorm. I might edit the last little bit out. No, why should I? 0 degrees all bloody night. 22 up to number 3 by noon tomorrow. That's temperature. Feels like temperature -7 or -6. What have they got? Oh, they have got some snow now. Look. Ah, they've changed the bloody things now, haven't they? They must be taking note of what I'm telling them. So they've changed the bloody thing to snow. Yes. Heavy snow. Alright. Well, it might be a long way for a shortcut, but they didn't have that yesterday, you see. I told them there was going to be snow in the mountains and they didn't listen to me. Let's go back to the surface pressure chart. It's in colour this time for you. I don't like it in colour. I mean, you can see well, you can see what I mean. Maybe you can see it a bit better here what I mean by the UK. Look, the UK doesn't sit like that. The UK should be sitting away out here, stretched out like that. There's the low pressure over the Scandinavia, bringing the northerly winds because the low pressure systems carry the winds in a anti-clockwise direction, you see. So they go all the way round, whip up the winds at the North Pole, and then bring it all the way down over Scandinavia. I checked the weather for Oslo, expecting to see some snow, and it's got bright and sunny. I don't know even if any of this is true. I mean, if they can't get the temperatures right, I mean, this could be completely nonsense. Maybe they just sit there and go, look, just draw a line there, and let the public fucking work out themselves. I mean, who's to say? I mean, we could have a pretty sad end to life if even the weather charts were wrong. You understand me? I don't think they would get away with that. But look, where are we? Tuesday. Look at these deep lows. Well, look at this weather that's coming. This is the low pressure. This is the weather turning all the way around to the north, pulling it all the way down here. Put the UK in its proper situation in longitudinal and latitudinal fucking direction. This would become a full blast of northerly winds. See, they'll not take you any further than Wednesday because they don't want to give you any more information. But I can tell you that's what's going to happen. We're going to see a lot colder weather, and we're going to see a significant wind chill and probably snow, quite a lot of snow by mid-October. It might not last for long, but we're going to get a lot of white snow in the, we're going to get a lot of snow in the mountains. But they won't tell you this. They won't tell you. They've not mentioned anything about the snow. I was lucky to find that about Cairngorms with the snow on the top, because they didn't have that there this morning. It's changed it since I got onto them. But if you tune into the broadcast, they'll not be long telling you, oh, it's 24 degrees. It's 26 degrees. And it's not 24 or 26 because there's people been complaining to the Met Office that they're talking fibs. That they've checked their own temperature and it's only 18 and 19. It's not 24 and 25. Can I actually say I've rested my case here in this current conversation I'm having about this lot? Let's get back to the weekend, to where we were. And there's a wiggling, occluded front. Yes. And they couldn't tell you that it's going to get down low temperatures on the north side of this front. And yet, someone like myself, who's not even a meteorologist, or a professional weather forecaster, or even an amateur forecaster, could look at that chart and say, it's going to be bloody cold, and it's going to be snow.